Appropriate to start business email or letter with just a dear. Is it appropriate to start a business letter or email with just a dear? I specifically refer to the case where there is no noun following the dear, so no dear all, or dear Mr., or dear colleagues, which is covered in other English.stackexchange.com questions. Or would dear only be appropriate between lovers? I am unsure about this because in Dutch, it is common to start an email or letter with best, or schietje, which could be, and is often, very loosely translated to something like dear. Dear is a perfectly appropriate letter greeting in all circumstances. However, you do need a noun to follow. Dear, on its own doesn't work. The standard opening, if you don't know enough about the reader, is Dear Sir/Madam. Note that when used to open a letter, dear is an adjective. Dear Mr. Smith, Dear Susan, Dear Sir/Madam. Dear is also used as a noun, typically in conversational speech. Yes, dear. Calm down, dear. This usage is usually reserved for loved ones, but this is a completely different usage from the letter opening greeting.
Dear on its own is not a valid opening for a letter, whether personal or business. I have seen this usage quite a lot, though, in messages posted to online groups by people from India. I suspect this is commonly taught there, but no native English speaker would use it.
If you address a letter simply as dear, you are actually using a vocative to a person you are calling dear. This would be the same as starting a letter, my dearest love, such as the famous Sullivan Ballot letter. I can think of no case in which a formal letter, sent to an institution, would ever make logical sense. That said, if you started a personal letter with dear, you are calling out to your dearly beloved. Also note, if you are writing a formal letter, the salutation should be followed by a colon, not a comma. Thus, Dear Snookums, but Dear Sirs, or for that matter to the John Deere Company, or to whom it may concern. Of course, if you follow the link, you'll see that Sullivan Ballot himself actually punctuated his very personal letter with a colon. This is no longer appropriate in standard English.
No, it isn't, unless you are addressing your sweetheart. The word dear demands a compliment. If you don't know who you're writing to, the traditional salutation is Dear Sir. These days, to avoid sexism, most writers prefer Dear Sir/Madam. Alternatively, you can address your letter to the group of people you are addressing. E.g., Dear Purchasing Department, Dear Stack Exchange Moderators. Finally, don't forget that when you close a letter, if you don't know the name of the person you are addressing, you should sign it. Yours faithfully.
If you want to support this channel, please consider liking and subscribing.